freaking first cut. Golly.
Hello, YouTube. It's news on news on news. Tiger Woods plays in the 7th iteration of the match. We'll talk about that and give you our best bet. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll get started right now. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, joined today first by Patrick McDonald. Patrick, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Rick. What's going on, fellas? Seems like just yesterday we had that picture of Phil in the big stack of money, and you blink and we're on to number 7 already. Excited for Tiger to get back out there, though.
The match 7, that will be certainly part of the storyline today. Kyle Porter joins us. KP, hello, sir.
Hello. Phil still has a big stack of money. He's just not taking pictures with it, Patrick.
Okay,
Thank you. According to Forbes.
Yeah, he was the highest paid athlete of the year, right?
Congratulations. I hope the high flyers are flying high.
Whew. Although next year, it's going to be Cristiano Ronaldo. On the verge of signing
I saw that. Is it
$207 million per year to play for, I guess, a Saudi club. I don't know enough about soccer to tell you which one.
Yeah, I saw that. It's I guess it shouldn't be shocking at this point, right?
No. It's quite.
I was actually more shocked. I was doing some research on him, like a 1-minute deep dive as far as you can go in a minute. You know how many Instagram followers Cristiano Ronaldo has?
Yeah. Like 30 million.
No.
Isn't it like a billion almost?
505 million.
Oh, come on. That many people have Instagram?
Listen, yes, to me, this was more shocking than him getting 200 mil from the Saudis. Did I read it wrong? Or am I?
Well, it's one way.
I think they've mentioned it a bunch during the World Cup. Like his Instagram followers.
At Cristiano, 509 now.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. So he got 4 from signing.
I saw a video a couple of years ago.
World Cup.
Yeah. He doesn't even start, apparently. I saw a video from a couple of years ago where someone else was filming his phone and he pressed send on an Instagram post, and then his notifications just went brrr, like it was 100,000 a second. Like it was insane.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
That's kind of like Kyle when he tweets about Liv.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's unfortunately true.
Before we jump too deep into the match, into some of the other news going on in the world of golf, there's major breaking news. You've probably seen it all over golf Twitter. You've probably heard it on all your favorite podcasts, but I'm happy to say, Kyle, Normal Sport released today. Congratulations.
Normal Sport 2 launch day. Yeah, it's been fun. You know, it's so many months of just like lead up work into, especially this one. We had a team this year, which was super fun. But yeah, it feels. I don't know. I don't really know how to feel. It feels good. I'm also kind of sad that like I love doing the work. I love the process of it. Not to go full Golf Channel end of round interview here, but I do enjoy the process a lot. So I'm a little bit sad that that's over. But people check it out at normalsport.com. Very proud of it. I thought it was substantially better than last year just because we kind of knew what we were doing this time around. Jason Page is the star. He's the illustrator. He did an unbelievable job with the graphics, and it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a preposterous look at a ridiculous last year in the craziest sport in the world, in my opinion. So hopefully people enjoy it.
A lot of different options. The hardcover book, which I've secured my copy of, Kyle, but I imagine at this point there is probably not many left.
There are not many left. Yeah, we only printed 320. We're not going to print any more. I wanted to create. So I got to confess, I've been watching these. My kids and I have been into watching like baseball card unboxing videos, or really best. Football card.
Yeah,
it's this whole world where there's a lot of value around scarcity. Right. When us three were growing up, really you and I, Rick, Patrick's a lot younger, but when we were growing up, there was a bubble in the in the baseball card market. They printed too many cards,
Yes.
right? Like there's just a billion cards.
We literally, Kyle, put them in the spokes of our bicycles because they were absolutely worthless. Every single one of them.
It was just like pieces of paper that were worthless. And now the card industry has figured out the scarcity thing, and it creates some value around what they're producing. And that was sort of my thesis for, or part of it, part of the reason we only printed 320 of them. So all that to say, you can buy a hardcover. We're not shipping internationally, unfortunately. Couldn't figure out the finances there. But if you live international, if you're anywhere in the world, you can buy the digital version. Shane Bacon did the audio, which is super fun. So yeah, there's options this time around.
Posters and stickers as well, not only from this year, but from some of the stuff from last year. So, Patrick, do you think that this is just another affront of Kyle, who thinks that golf is only being played in the United States?
I don't know. I mean, after Kyle's voyage to Scotland this past summer, maybe that is broken.
You'd think it would have opened his eyes a little bit more.
Well, I mean,
you guys are
you tried to open them.
I talk in the book about how the PGA Tour has an obligation to play internationally now that they're a European Tour partner. And I know you're messing with me, but there's a lot in there about just about the whole year. I mean, it was a ridiculous year. I'm trying to think of the funniest. You know what one of the funniest things was that I didn't remember? So Sahith Theegala is coming down 17 at TPC Scottsdale, Phoenix Open. He's beating Cantlay and Scotty Scheffler. You got all these like elite players up there, and he hits a ball in the water on 17, that drive that got kind of a bad kick into the water, and he goes in the water, and you just see his face. It's like this very dramatic. It was kind of the most dramatic part of the tournament. As soon as it goes in the water, all of a sudden you see in the background this, like, I called it a beaver in the book, but I think it's actually a groundhog just zip by in a motorized boat. And you're like, what? This is the weird, like, you've got this guy that's devastated about not winning his first event, and there's this like Bucky's logo just, zips by in a motorized boat in the background. The whole thing is, it's just that kind of sums up and is emblematic of the entire book.
Love that groundhog in and out of every commercial with that guy zipping around the pond there. Love to see it. Congratulations, Kyle. anormalsport.com is where
anormalsport.com.
Yep. anormalsport.com is where you can find all that information, get yourself involved. And a pretty decent segue to the PGA Tour expanding their reach and their partnership with not only the DP World Tour, Patrick, but with the Japan Golf Tour. So this was announced either today or yesterday. So now there is a new partnership that creates kind of this throughway from the Japan Golf Tour through the DP World Tour, and eventually, if you can pull it off, to the PGA Tour. Yeah,
the pathway is top 30 from Japan, gets to go to Europe, top 10 from Europe to the PGA Tour. And I was scanning the JGTO website today. Did you know on their player profile pages they have blood type as a section?
Wow.
Yeah. Not all were filled out.
In case anything happens out on the course, they got to find a donor.
Blood type, maybe some dental records in there as well. I don't know what's going on over there, but I think yes. Yeah, spanning out, I think it's a good thing, but I do have some questions about how it's going to work, just because you see it always comes back to live this day and age, but you see some of these guys playing on the Japan Tour, on the DP World Tour. Like, God forbid what happens if, like, Scott Vincent's a 3-time Japan Tour winner. Say he plays a bunch on the Japan Tour in conjunction with the Live Tour, and he finishes top 3. Does he get that spot in the DP World Tour? I'm not really sure how it's all going to work out with that respect. But broadly speaking, I think it's good for the game and a pathway to, some of these Asian players who the OWGR concerns where some of these guys from Asia and Africa aren't getting a fair shot. Well, now they kind of do.
That's what we were talking about on Sunday, right, Rick?
Correct. Yeah. It's like we spoke this into existence.
I think, we did kind of yell about it on Sunday, and then it came to be. Well, I'm sure it was in the works long before they did not listen to
the pod and then make this happen.
Yeah. That's what I was making it sound like. But listen, like, and this is what I insinuated on Sunday. This is a good thing. Like the OWGR, I think Will Knights has been good on this. Works at the Fried Egg. He's a good follow on Twitter, but you can have an OWGR that properly rates and ranks every player in the world. And then you can have tours that provide the mobility for players to move up and down the hierarchy that is sort of been institutionalized in golf. And, I think you got to give some credit. I don't know, okay, is the DP World Tour incentivized to reach out to the Japan Tour and say like, hey, we'll give you guys spots into our tour? Not really. Are they? I mean, what's the incentive for the European Tour to do that?
I don't know. They're definitely not short-sighted reasons. I think they're more long-term, like being a part of partnership, carving out a spot in the larger golf ecosystem. But I don't think there's, to your point, like a lot of immediate things that would come to mind.
Yeah, maybe just being able to kind of leverage that talent for, X amount of years before they move on to the PGA Tour. If they see a star in the making. Yeah,
that's fair. But I just think I guess my point is European Tour and other tours that do this should be applauded because they don't really have to, but now you've got a pathway for the Japan Golf Tour players to play their way into the Open Championship by getting onto the European Tour, getting into open qualifying. It's a real like that to me is how global golf should look, and I think I put that on Twitter on Monday or whatever, but that is like exactly how it should all look. And I hope that there's more of that happening in the future.
A couple items here. Takumi Kanaya, not only second on the Japan Golf Tour money list, but also O positive blood type, which is, did you know the most, that is the, no, that's O negative. O positive is the most common blood type. 35% of the population.
That should have been on our year-end trivia. What blood type is Takumi Kanaya?
Well, I'll work it into the next round. O positive, 35%. A positive, 30%. O negative, that's your universal donor. That's 13% of the population.
Okay.
Eight each for A negative and B positive. The most rare blood type that you can have. 1% of the population.
A negative.
No.
A positive?
No.
Did we miss that?
I didn't know this. I did not know this one existed. So
C.
A, B negative.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is, I'm starting to do the math here, Patrick. We're cutting it down to 70 who get full status in the playoffs. We're adding 10 from the DP World Tour. Is that how many guys are going to have a full PGA Tour card next year? And how is the season going to look? I mean, we already know they're going back to the calendar year. We don't really know what the fall is going to look like. I have a lot of questions about, and I'm sure the guys do, like, what is their status? What is their priority? I don't know.
Yeah, things are going to get kind of tight on the PGA Tour, especially like you said, with the top 70 whittled down with the FedEx Cup. And yeah, I think these elevated events are normal sized fields as well, right? Or at least 125, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So that, I guess, would provide a bit more clarity, right? If you're in those elevated events, but not kind of part of the PIP, you kind of know where you stand. And then going forward, more clarity will be brought, hopefully, with the new fall swing where it's guys battling out for their cards. But going back to the Japan Tour thing, I do have a question. So Chan Kim is ranked 7th, and let's say hypothetically he was actually 3rd. And so he gets into the DP World Tour. Okay. But he's on the Korn Ferry Tour this upcoming year. Which way do you think guys would go? Korn Ferry or DP?
It's a good question.
Well, it becomes a question of, is it easier to finish in the top 10 on the DP of players who aren't already on the PGA Tour, or in the top 30 on the Korn Ferry?
It's still I think it's 30.
I think so. It was 25, right? Yeah. And then they eliminated the finals qualifying, but they added 5 cards to the regular, like just the season long, the Korn Ferry points race. I don't know what they call it. I think it's statistically probably easier to finish in the top 10 of the DP World Tour of guys that are not already qualified.
Okay.
But I could be talked out of that. That's not a hard stance.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just thought it was interesting because I saw his name up on the list and knew he was in the Korn Ferry Tour this upcoming year.
I was trying to quickly find last year's top 10 for the DP World Tour. I don't think
it's not great. I think you can maybe search my Twitter. I might have it out there. It was like Min Woo and I don't even remember. It was not. Yeah, because you're discarding guys like Colin Morikawa and Rahm and Fitzpatrick and Rory and players like that who are obviously already qualified for the PGA Tour. So you dip down into, I think Danny Willett might have been in there. It wasn't an amazing list.
Well, the 2022 page gives me a 404 error on the European Tour's website, so we'll have to get that fixed, and we'll figure out from there.
Real quick. Sorry, Rick. What was the question you asked Patrick? Because I thought I think I had something to say about it, but I couldn't remember what you asked him.
Kind of like the muddying of the water of 10 new guys from the DP World Tour rolling in, top 70 getting their cards.
Yeah. So my question about that, and maybe this has been announced and I missed it, or you guys know, or whatever, but in the fall, like who's playing? Are the guys from the DP World Tour previous season playing in the fall, but their season's not over yet? And then are the Korn Ferry guys playing in the fall along with the 71 through 120? The fall is very confusing to me. And I don't know if that's because they haven't clarified yet, or if I just missed something.
I would assume, and again, I'm guessing that whoever finishes this year 71st to 150th are going to be in those fields, plus probably some of those other guys, right? Because that's only 75 guys, or maybe it's 71 to 200 or something like that. But I don't know how they're going to decide who's eligible to play the fall when there are DP World Tour obligations. Guys are going to have to choose what they think is easier to do. Play well in the fall and be golfer 71, or take your chances for a longer go finish up on the DP and end that year and end the calendar year inside the top 10 and get your tour card, full tour card.
And this is players shouldn't. I mean, Hovland is, I think, right about some of this stuff, and Rahm has said this too. Players shouldn't have to make those choices. That's those are just absurd choices for a player to make. I guess it makes it interesting, but the lack of continuity in scheduling across tours, especially tours that are strategically aligned, or however you want to say it, it just seems a little ridiculous. I do have the list here of the 10 players that would have earned PGA Tour cards last year, according to the Race to Dubai. So it's Min Woo, Nikolai Hogard, Bobby Mack, Richard Bland, Alexander Bjork, Bernd Wiesberger, Guido Migliozzi, Dean Burmester, Jason Scrivener, and Laurie Cantor.
Are 4 of those live boys too?
There's at least 1, 2, 3, I think. So is it easier to get in that group or in the top 30 on the Korn Ferry?
I think
probably that group.
I think so too.
Also, Korn Ferry into perspective. Yeah, Korn Ferry
is a bloodbath. I mean, it is nasty.
Absolute bloodbath. Just to also give you an idea of the types of golfers who finished 71 to 80th last year. Now they're fine because that was last year, but moving forward, it wouldn't have worked for Alex Smalley, Wyndham Clark, Lee Hodges, Brendan Todd, Gary Woodland, Bo Hostler. Those are the likes to comp against for those interested.
Okay.
Other news. Big news day, believe it or not. QBE Shootout. Back, baby, to a mixed team event. Patrick, this is an event that's happening this week. It's a team event. There's 12 teams. The new mixed version, one male, one female, won't start until next year, but this is kind of another strategic alliance. I don't know if they've described it as that, but one with the LPGA.
It's about time. I feel like golf fans, or at least this little bubble that we are in on the internet, has been clamoring for some sort of event like this. I know every President's Cup, people bring it up like every single time, but this is a good medium for it. I think Billy Horschel said it's about time as well. And yeah, Lexi Thompson has played in this a bunch. Nelly Cordes with Denny McCarthy this week. You know, as an homage to this news, I actually laid a little wager on them as well. But yeah, I like the idea. It'll be cool to see kind of the various skill sets between the women and the men, and people can finally shut up saying they're better than women at golf than these LPGA stars, because I mean, it's just not true. But yeah, it'll be good for the sport.
This is something that used to be a regular thing, Kyle. So this was, let's see. I believe the last time they had this was the J.C. Penney Classic. J.C. Penney, are they still in business? They can't be still in business.
I think that was one of Sam Snead's wins.
1999 was the last edition of it. J.C. Penney has to be out of business, but this is something we've seen before.
I think they're still in business.
I think they're gone.
Dillard's, Mervin's. Do you remember Mervin's?
That
sounds like a nautical themed bar.
I can tell you that
Mervin's, according to their website, is America's best department store. That's one way to look at it.
In May of 2020, JCPenney filed for bankruptcy. They closed a bunch of stores. However, they have kind of resituated the finances and got bought out and reopened some stores. So I think technically, yes, JCPenney still exists, but not in like the same kind of structure.
Dude, those department stores like that. I mean, my parents would shop there when we were growing up. Everybody's would. They're just like, I don't know. They're like weird and kind of sad. I don't know why they make me sad, but there's just like a weird place. I feel like
it's a different time, man. And walking through one like now is like, it's a different time.
Yeah, it is just like, it's almost depressing. We had a mall close to where I live, and I went over there a couple of times. I don't know what for, and there was like no humans in it. And you're just like, and they eventually bulldozed it, but it was just, it was like this weird, it was almost like those pictures you see of old Olympic stadiums from like countries that are no longer being used, and they're like overgrown. And it's just, I don't know. There's some like sadness in that. I don't know why we're talking about Mervin's and JCPenney.
I was going to ask, when's the last time you two have stepped into a shopping mall?
Oh, I probably did this year at some point. Like maybe to go to the Apple store or something.
I needed a dress shirt like on the spot, like now, right? Not in like 2 hours, which I could have just got it online, but I needed a shirt like now, probably within the last 18 months, and that's what I got.
Okay.
I think I've taken my kids to the Lego store. But those are like it's like the Lego store and the Apple store, and that's it. That's all we're doing.
Well, speaking of JCPenney, Kyle, I think the original tee up was in regards to finally back as a mixed event, the QBE Shootout moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is great. And now I'm reading on here. I'm a little confused. Did they tee off from the same tees? You guys might have said that.
I don't think so.
I don't think they do.
Okay, so each player hits a drive on every hole, and the best drive is selected. So, I mean, Lexi Thompson, Mav McNeely. Lexi's probably out driving Mav on some of these holes, right? From the up tees,
probably. Mav has gotten pretty big, but Lexi's like long, like legit long,
like real long. Yeah. This is fun. I mean, am I going to watch every shot of it? No. Is it? I don't watch a ton of women's golf just because I watch so much for my job on the men's side. But when I do, it's fairly compelling. And I think I hope that people get some of that from watching this weekend.
What's actually going to be pretty interesting, Patrick, is I think we're going to get like the top ladies, which then in turn, I think helps get better men. Like, no offense to team Charlie Hoffman and Ryan Palmer. Like, I'm not interested. Okay. Harris English and Matt Kuchar dominate this event. Still not interested. Brian Harmon and Sepp Straka. No offense to those guys. But when you inject Nelly Korda and you inject Lexi and you inject Lydia or Minji or whoever, like, I feel like you're going to elevate it to a situation where somebody better than Denny McCarthy, and I love Denny McCarthy, says, oh, I'll play with Nelly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that that's the best guy partner Nelly could conjure up. I thought she'd get someone else. I mean, Billy Ho and Sam Burns were in this event last year. That's a pretty good pairing. 2 President's Cup members. I know Billy Ho was like throwing his golf club like every which way down the stretch, which was pretty compelling.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's December golf and guys have been clamoring for this offseason. I don't know if it's really going to help bring the guys out, but it could. Doesn't hurt.
I think you should have to have a man and a woman on each team to enter your team. After
well, I think
this year.
that's what they're going to have next year.
That's the news.
It.
Oh, that was the news.
Yeah.
Glad I could be here. I thought the news was that there were 2 teams in this event with a man and a woman.
No, well, that's also news, but
There
the
were
news
2.
is next year there's going to be 12.
Okay. Well, just ignore me.
Everyone's just stealing your ideas, Kyle.
I had this. So like 10 years ago, I was working at a insurance company, and I had this brilliant, like, you remember, or Tom's shoes, like the buy one give one model. I had a brilliant idea called wine to water.
Okay.
Like where you buy a bottle of wine and then however much water gets given away. I was like, I'm a borderline genius for thinking of this. And I drive to work. I have this idea in the morning. I drive to work and I Google it, and somebody, like, it's an established company called Wine to Water that already does it. I'm like, well, somebody else is a genius too.
Wow, multiple geniuses here. That's amazing.
I'm a moron, so carry on.
QBE, we've talked about the pathway from Japan to the PGA Tour. So the other thing we need to talk about is Tiger Woods and the match part 7. We're going to do that after a quick word from our partners. And we're back. Here we go. Pelican Golf Club, Saturday night, under the lights, Patrick. Ooh, la la. Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy will battle it out with Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth in the 7th iteration of the match.
Under the lights.
Under the lights.
Cue the, who is it, Lupe Fiasco? You know what I'm talking about? Under the lights, under the lights. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll take your word
Never
for
mind.
that one.
All right. Producer Troy, just dub it in over at this part.
No, don't. We're gonna get a
costly.
copyright. Yeah, we're gonna get a copyright infringement. So good.
But yeah, it's the first match where it's kind of best ball the whole 12 holes for the team competition, right? I think they've kind of been doing some weird stuff with modified alternate shot or alternate shot on the back 9, front 9 was best ball type of deal. So, and the first one where it's all 4 PGA Tour players. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, honestly. I kind of liked, at first when this first came around, I liked the PGA Tour players. And then once they started introducing kind of different personalities with, Barkley, Peyton, Josh Allen, and Mahomes were great, I thought. I think moving forward, they kind of have to put Tiger, if he agrees to, in the fill chair now that he's kind of out of this position, and get different athletes from different sports to get involved. But it should be fun. But I mean, we watch these 4 guys for 20 weeks out of the year, and it's just another 12 holes to me.
We'll figure out the future of this event in a second. I'm flipping. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm flipping through the carts, which are all mostly foundation based. JT's got his foundation on there. Jordan Spieth has one that also says, I want to go fast, which I believe is from Ricky Bobby, right?
Correct.
Talladega Nights.
That's the only Spieth has, I think.
So yeah, here we are, Kyle. It's 4 pros, big names, the biggest of names, I would argue, or at least ones that people are most interested in. Is this like, I have a lot of thoughts about the match. I think about it too much, but like, is this the way the match should be going?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think I'm with Patrick, and the reason is, I view everything through the lens of like how I consume it, or how like my kids or my family consumes it. And I think the mix of having 2 golfers and like a Josh Allen and Tom Brady, my kids are way more interested in that, I think, than 4 golfers. Now, maybe that's just because they get golf 52 weeks out of the year because of my job, but I kind of like the multi-sport crossover. I know a lot of people just want it to be golf, and I think, I don't know, was the DJ Matt Wolf, Rory, who else was in that? Ricky?
Come on, man. Don't do Ricky like that.
Yeah, that's tough. Was that I don't know that was as compelling as some of the football guys.
Do you want me to tell you why, Kyle? Because it was DJ Wolf. Did any of them
Yeah.
utter a word besides Rory saying like 10 things?
I think the most interesting part was DJ marking his ball with a T and carrying his bag wrong.
Yes, and forgetting his bag. Like he stripes the drive down the middle, takes 10 steps. He's like, oh, I got to go carry my own bag.
But I think I mean the appeal of any of these is your interaction. So it doesn't matter what kind of shot you're hitting if the interaction is good. And I think it should be with these 4, right?
I think this is going to be really good.
Yeah, if the interaction is good, and this is a TGL preview, honestly, then your product is great. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen this with we saw it with the thing at Cedar. What was that thing? Big Cedar Lodge.
Yeah, with
Justin
Rose. Justin Rose was the 4th one.
Justin Rose, Tiger, JT, and Rory. That was good.
Yeah.
Right after the 2020 U.S. Open, Rick. It wasn't the match, but it was like similar.
Domino Gate.
It was the Dominoes incident. And yeah, that was good. I don't know. I could go either way. You could talk me into having Bryce Harper and Steph Curry there. I'm obviously fine with these 4 guys. I just want it to be entertaining from an interaction standpoint.
What's really interesting, Patrick? What did Tiger Woods tell us about the state of his body and his game last week? Do you remember that quote that he had?
So, yeah, he said he could hit any shot, but just couldn't walk in. I tuned into that little Hero World Challenge wedge off.
Yeah, he couldn't hit a 100-yard shot.
He dumped all 6 wedges into the water.
Well, anything but 100 yards. So my point being, Patrick,
sorry,
gotta kind of back it up now.
Yeah, my bad. I apologize. That's on me.
Yeah, he said he could hit every shot. Now he's going to get to prove it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I know his like short game was, when you're hurt like that, you're putting a lot, and in these matches, we've seen kind of the best putters win the past 6 times, I'd say. And with JT and Jordan, I want to know the needling part, and JT hating when he doesn't get conceded any putt inside 3 feet. If I'm Tiger and Rory, given Spieth's track record with 2-footers this past year, I'm telling the boys, you're hitting cups all day and not giving them anything. And that would only help kind of the back and forth between it all.
There's for sure going to be I've watched you putt for the last year, Spieth comment. I don't know who it's going to come from. Might come from JT, to be honest. But who's going to be the most interesting mic'd up wise? Because you could go a bunch of different directions with that, right? Spieth's always hollering and yelling about stuff, but Tiger's always trying to get after guys. Rory and JT are pretty funny. Like, who are you most interested to hear mic'd up.
I think Tiger is a professional and knows that this is based on personalities and being mic'd up and stuff like that. But he's like a corny dad who like, I don't think he's going to be able to rib too much except for like, I've got 15 majors. JT, I love
JT is good
in this spot. Remember when he did, was it the Brady match that he was doing like the on-course stuff and he was top notch.
He was dunking on Barkley, and I think Barkley's involved in this also. Yeah, I think JT is probably the right answer. Tiger's not that funny.
He thinks he is. I think he thinks
he for sure thinks he is, and he's not.
I'm kind of interested to see how kind of Spieth fits in, just because you have JT and Tiger buddy. So are Rory and Tiger, and Spieth's kind of there. I wonder if he'll like be comfortable enough to kind of give it to Tiger at some points if it warrants it.
Michael,
I think Spieth is a little. I think he's really funny, but I think he's a little too brand aware, like more so than JT. I think JT is like the perfect guy for stuff like this, because he's not going to be like. Remember how weird like Matt Wolf was, where he was just like kind of got out over his skis and saying stuff. JT's not going to do that, but he's also not going to I mean, Matt Wolf mentioned DJ's putt at Whistling Straits within like 10 minutes of them teeing off, and I was like, the penalty at Whistling, and I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you're the new guy. Anyway, I think JT will be good.
Let's make some picks. Vegas has installed Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas as small favorites, -125. Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, +105. I can say with confidence, Patrick, I have zero idea how this is going to play out.
It's you never do. I think underdogs they've won half of them, favorites of the other half. But I think a couple weeks ago, Tiger and Rory were like -120 favorites. So it's kind of flipped on its head a little bit. But you want my pick?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going Tiger and Rory. I think Spieth, JT, they might miss a few putts inside 5 feet. Tiger,
they will miss a few putts inside.
I am banking on him just putting for the last few months a ton. And let's be honest, Rory McIlroy is the best player in the world. Have him, little Tiger magic at plus money. I'll take it. Sure.
I think taking the best player is generally the play, and they're a dog. So I've also taken the Rory side of this. I think best ball might actually help too, because if Rory just gets scorching hot, maybe just wins it by himself, and then I don't know what Tiger has to bring to this thing. But I've taken the Tiger Rory side, KP. I'm not thrilled about it. I will probably place $20 on it and move on about my day.
Well, there's definitely a world in which by the fourth hole, Spieth is like in his head about his own swing and just like he's like changing swing coaches in the middle of the match or something. Like he could just get completely out of control here. But I don't really trust Tiger's game. I know he's saying like, oh, I'm hitting all the shots. It's like, well, are you? I don't know if that's the case. You know, it would almost be better if he was playing, you know, the lead up to the Masters, like he almost just kind of had to like grind out 71s. That's not what this is going to be. And I don't really trust that he's sharp enough to hang with these other guys. So I'm taking the two middle guys over the best one and who I think is the worst one in this field right now.
That's Spieth and JT -125 for Kyle. Both Patrick and I will take the Cat and Rory side of things. I want to pitch my idea for the match.
Let's have it.
But I'm going to need some time. So we're going to do it after a quick word from our partners. And we're back. The match. All right. Bear with me here for a couple minutes. So I don't think the match has an identity. Okay. Sometimes it's golfers, 4 of them. Sometimes it's 2. Sometimes it's golfers and athletes. Sometimes it's quarterbacks. Sometimes it's basketball. I don't know what to expect from the match. And I want to start expecting something from the match. And I can solve a couple other problems too. So I think that the match should be King of the Hill style. Do you know what this is, Patrick?
I do.
Okay. So we somehow figure out who the current king is. The last guy who won a match, I don't know, whoever wins this one, let's say Rory and Tiger wins. Rory is now the king. And Rory plays in this match until he gets knocked off. Okay. And I would ramp it up, Kyle. I'd have it like 4 times a year instead of just at Thanksgiving. That can be your big one. But I think that you give an opportunity to knock out the king multiple times a year. Obviously, these guys get paid every time they win or every time they're a part of it. And you build up this concept of why this matters. And I have more on qualifying in a second, but how are we doing so far?
Well, 4 times a year is a lot.
How about 3?
Well, I think the problem becomes the TGL stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea. I think it's, I think that's a great, because it's kind of, King of the Hill is kind of it's not silly, but it's like a stupid kids kind of game that we all play, you know, and it kind of fits in with the vibe of these exhibitions, right?
Right.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's, and it creates some built-in trash talk of like, oh, we've played in 7 straight of these. Right. It's like Tiger asking JT, are you going to be at the Champions Dinner at the Open on Tuesday night?
Right. Exactly.
Oh, you haven't won one of these.
And now you start with the record keeping. Oh, Rory's won 4 in a row. That's the longest streak ever. Also, here's what I want. So you got to have a system almost like boxing where you have like the number 1 contender. Guys below the king have to be able to get into a spot to be able to challenge the king. Okay. And there has to be a mechanism for that. So I want to bring back those Wednesday matches that we did when COVID first came back. And it was like for connectivity in Detroit or whatever it is, right? Like these guys are already out on the golf course on Wednesdays, playing 9 holes, playing whatever. PGA Tour Live is like the cameras are already set up. Have a 9-hole match and start ranking these guys via those to give them a chance to take down the king. You fill out another day, Patrick. Golf becomes more relevant on Wednesdays now because I have something to watch on Wednesdays. They're already out there. The logistics are already in place. Start putting a leaderboard on this.
Gosh, we got TGL on Mondays.
Yep.
Tuesday's interview day.
Yep.
Wednesday's qualifying.
Well, Tuesday's the first cut. And then Wednesday is qualifying for King of the Hill. And then Thursday through Sunday's the tournament. We've got every day covered.
Okay. I like the King of the Hill idea. I'll give you that.
Thanks.
I think you're going to run into a little trouble with the amount, like Kyle said, just because January through August, these guys are going to be pretty booked up and you got 4 months left. So I'm going to take it down to 2 times a year. Okay. I don't mind when Wednesday, those practice rounds being televised and whatnot. I do remember kind of just because we're in the World Cup stage, Landon Donovan playing in one and him being like atrocious. And Phil was just like trying to give him lessons the entire time and he just was not having it. But I think you're onto something. I think people would tune in on Wednesday as well.
This might not be the whole answer, Kyle, but I just like when they announced the match 8, if you told me they're going to announce the match 8 tomorrow, I would have 0 idea what to expect, where it's going to be, who's going to be involved. I've been very excited about some and horribly unexcited about others. I just don't know what the future of this is, especially if Tiger moves into this TGL role and like, what does that do to the match?
Yeah. Well, for a while, it seemed like he was going to become a celebrity, other sports type thing, right? And now we're back to having just golfers. I agree with you. And I think they went into it sort of with the Tiger Phil Foundation. And now that that's been taken away for a variety of reasons, like I think the plan initially was going to be like some variation of Tiger and Phil at all of them, right? Because that's your draw.
Right.
And now that it's not, maybe you have to go, and maybe they've already done this, but maybe you have to go back to the drawing board of like, okay, what is our identity in doing this? And I don't think it has to be like a super serious identity, which is sort of what you're saying, of like, just have an identity, you know?
Right.
So yeah, all that to say, I agree with you. By the way, I'm doing media availability tomorrow, Zoom call. What should I ask them?
Wow. Are you getting all four, or who are you getting?
All four.
Oh.
Hey, Tiger, have you read Normal Sport 2?
Yeah, and then just get him to say, but like mumble it. So when he goes, Normal Sport?
Normal Sport 2?
We'll cut that, and then that'll be his endorsement of the book.
What is that, a book? Is it a book?
Right. And then we'll just like edit that into him saying Normal Sport book.
No, I think I'm going to ask him because Tiger, well, if you guys have question, it's weird because you're like, you don't want to be the guy that's like, here's a very serious question about the match, about this exhibition, but you also don't want to get like too goofy. I think I'm going to ask Tiger about his love for like the intricacies of the golf swing, because think about like so many moments from him over the last year. He's talking about how he wants Charlie to copy Rory's swing. There was that clip of him and Rahm at the Pro-Am at Adair Manor, talking about how to hit a draw. I think there was a clip of him and Lee Trevino talking about how to hit a fade. Like, there's been so many different moments, and I'm curious about like where his love for the swing kind of stemmed from.
That's a good one. What do you have, Patrick? Do you have anything good?
Tiger Woods. If I had asked Tiger Woods one question, probably I'd say if he could build his golfer from today's player, who'd he pick from?
Or make him take something from the other three? Are they all? I guess they're probably all not going to be sitting there at the same time. I don't know.
Other three would I feel like kind of be easy though. Like Rory's driving, JT's irons, and then
what?
Spieth's caddy,
Spieth's short game, and Tiger's putting.
Tiger's putting. Yeah, if he can include himself, that's the correct answer. If you have to take Spieth's putting, we're in trouble. Anything else, gents? Before we get out of here,
I do have one thing. DP World Tour. They're in South Africa this week. Louis Oosthuizen, world number 51 at the moment. He's in the field. Big week down there. Need to get inside the top 50. That would be right. We are running out of weeks. He could conceivably punch his ticket to Augusta, correct? Yeah, I'm not sure how many points they're giving out for that event. But you'd have to look up the Twitter god who's on that. But you would think a win would push him inside the top 50. Oh, it would have to, right? Come on. Is this the Alfred Dunhill? Yeah, he's 11-1. He's the second favorite behind. Wow, how about this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's 6 straight South Africans at the top of the board. Bezuidenhout, Louis, Charles, Burmeister, Brandon Grace, and Thurston Lawrence. Okay. He's South African, right? Yeah. Mean Dean's so. number 58 in the world. He might be too far out for Augusta. But Louis right there. Don't forget the match is on Saturday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we'll be back Saturday night, I guess. Yeah. Have we discussed this? Yeah. Saturday night after the match, we'll recap it. Yeah. I think Patrick and I have Sunday off. A rarity. Whoa. I can call somebody and see if we can get that fixed if you guys want. What am I gonna do? I'm good. I might hit the farmer's market. I don't even know. Wow. We might play golf. We could play golf. There you go. Not together, but we could. I'll fly down. Yeah. One last thing. Jimmy V Classic. College hoops tonight. I'm 0-1 on the year in my picks. Me and Kyle discussed this last time. Who do we have tonight? It was Duke, Kansas, and you took Duke. I took Duke. Yeah, they got beat. Oh yeah. Big time. I'm taking the Fighting Illini tonight, plus 3.5 against number 2 Texas. Wow. That's the pick of the week. Right? We down. Is that what we do now? We down. I hate to see that for Spieth's horns. Brad Underwood used to be at Oklahoma State. Correct.
There's also
All right.
another game, isn't there?
Duke, Iowa, 9:30. I'm laying off the Blue Devils.
Yeah, give it a breather.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any college football playoff takes real quick?
Mm,
Hendon Hooker should have been top 4 in the Heisman. I'd say
What was the top 4?
Caleb Williams, Stetson. Oh my gosh, I don't even know these guys.
Oh, the quarterback from
the Georgia
TCU.
quarterback, Max Duggan. Who's the Ohio State quarterback? CJ Stroud and Stetson Bennett.
I mean, Caleb Williams is going to win it, isn't he?
I would.
Yeah,
think so.
probably.
There's only one. There's one and one only solution to the college football playoff. It looks as this. All
OWGR. Get the OWGR
Yes.
involved.
Yeah, of course. They're so good at everything. You must have a conference championship game. The winner of each conference championship of the Big Five are in. The final 3 spots are done via committee and then ranked via committee. That is the only way to do it. 8 down to 1. Congratulations. I've solved all the problems.
This is a little bit, to bring it full circle, this is a little bit what I think about the mobility between tours in golf. Is like you can't tell Iowa State, hey, if you go 12-0, or if you go, I guess it wouldn't be Iowa State. You could tell like Tulane, if you go 12-0, we'll see.
Right.
Right?
Maybe. Depends what Alabama does.
Well, then why is Tulane a Division I football team? Like, what is the point?
Right. And with less scarcity so if you get guaranteed 5 in, but 3 of these at-large picks, you can put Tulane in because you could have Tulane and Alabama in. When you only have like 1 spot or 2 spots, they're going to give it to the big Power 5 conference every single time.
For sure.
Yeah, especially with the track record of like Cincinnati got blown out when they were put in. Remember that? Like these teams haven't fared well when they've been posed against, like Georgia.
I think Georgia's going to hammer Ohio State and Michigan.
I think Ohio State for sure.
I think they might win both games by like 3 touchdowns.
Did I see Ohio State? So I saw that they did the, I guess, possible national championship matchups, and Ohio State would be a 2.5 point favorite over Michigan, despite just getting absolutely obliterated.
That's funny.
Sick game. Revenge. Yeah. It's the revenge factor. We good?
That's it.
All right.
Good.
We'll be back Saturday night to chat about the match and anything else that happens in the world of golf between now and then. For now, big thanks to producer Troy, does all the hard work behind the scenes. Patrick McDonald from his library at Amateur Status on Twitter. Kyle Porter is available at Kyle Porter CBS. You can get his new book, anormalsport.com. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. Catch you next time.